Hello and welcome. So I forgot my notes, but I'm going to do this anyway because I think I know this content that I'm teaching today so well that I'm praying I don't need the notes as much. So I hope everybody had a restful weekend and that you really just rejuvenated your mind. I am wrapping up my series on overwhelm today. Today is going to be the last session on overcoming overwhelm. So for those of you who didn't miss it, I'm going to talk to or who didn't make it, I'm going to talk to my team a little bit later today about keeping the replays up in YouTube. Normally, we take all of the videos down tonight at midnight for the workshops I do. I normally charge for these workshops. So whenever I do these workshops for free, I do take the videos down later on. So they're just not there forever. But I'm going to talk to my team about leaving them up live in YouTube a little bit longer because I actually got a few messages from different people who were really just struck by Hurricane Ian. And one of our own was actually right in the midst. So we're praying for everybody over there, but due to that, I actually got some messages requesting access to our series later on for those of you who have been struck by Hurricane Ian. Some of you started out and weren't able to finish it. I actually was surprised at how many messages I got pertaining to that this weekend. So I am flattered that with all the devastation, that's what you thought about, and that you actually missed it. But we do want to make sure that it is available to everybody. So this is going to be the last session in the series on overcoming overwhelm. If you're new to my channel, my name is Evelyn Knight. I am the child care business coach. I have a podcast by that name. I am also the CEO and founder of Child Care Business Professionals, which is a company that helps child care center leadership, owners and directors, find success while alleviating the stress and the hard parts of running a child care center and putting the children first. So we teach you how to run a successful business, help you to really calm your mind and learn how to take control again so you don't have to be so stressed out all the time. It's not necessary. It really isn't. And but at the center of everything is the children. We're all doing this for the children. So high quality research-based standards are very important to me. And that is something I'm always going to really lean into. So today we're talking about just really mastering overwhelm. And it's going to be a little bit different. This is our mindset video. So it's a little bit different than what we did last week. Last week, I showed you how to create org charts, which will help you to really delegate and create systems that are going to help everybody in your center, not just you, but know who to go to for what. It basically, what it really does is it takes it so that everything isn't on your shoulders. And that is the biggest problem for us as ECE leaders is everything is on our shoulders, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. And I know the first thing a lot of you think is, but my staff, they don't know, they aren't this or they aren't that. And we start placing blame on and looking at all the things that they are not. And last week, if you watched, I told you a story about when I was in that mindset and how I realized I was so wrong. And I realized it was me, it wasn't them. So I taught last week also on how to set up proper expectations, how to set up proper guidelines, right? Your employee descriptions, but not just your employee descriptions, your expectations, your new hire training. All of that has to be in line because if it's not, you have nobody but yourself to blame. If you have problems in your center with like people not attending correctly, right? Or them telling you what their schedule is, or just anything, if they are not following the curriculum model you are, or they're not following curriculum at all, how they speak to parents, how they gossip amongst each other, that is on leadership. That is not your staff. That is how your center is being led. And it doesn't have to be that way. So watch the replays next week. They are going to be in our YouTube channel, which in the description, I did put a link to our YouTube channel. We're not going to delete them off of there as quickly. I was just trying to figure out, and I will talk to my leadership team to figure out a way to keep it up a little bit longer for those who did miss it. But today, what I want to talk to you is about really how to prime your brain. And again, I forgot, I'm out in my office, which is attached to my house, and I forgot my notes inside. So I'm going to do this from memory, but I think I probably have this really well. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. Hello, Bree. Happy Monday. Um, and so I'm going to talk to you about how I start my day. And I didn't realize the impact of this until I really started to notice and to study it a little bit more. And it's something I've done since my children were very, very little. It's something I've really had a handle on. And I didn't realize that I was unique in this. But after studying what I've studied, I found that one of the keys, and it's kind of crazy, okay? One of the keys to being successful in life and to really just getting a hold of your overwhelm, getting a hold of your mindset is your morning routine. It's how you go through every morning. And in the United States and around the world, really, it doesn't matter, especially when you have young children. Most people start their day in a reactive mode. You start your day allowing other people to dictate your morning, right? So if you wake up and you jump out of bed, you take a quick shower, make your coffee, and you're in a rush to get to work, you are in a reactive state from the moment you wake up. You are reacting to what needs to be done. And you're allowing somebody else to dictate your mornings by allowing your schedule. Basically, you have to get to your childcare center, you have to get to work, whatever it is, you got to get the kids to school. Well, those people who basically call the shots on what time your kids have to go to school are dictating your morning, right? So one of the most important things that we can do to change our mindset, to really master overwhelm, is take that control back. Don't allow others to dictate your morning. And and I mean the first thing that enters your brain. You wake up. What is the first thing that enters your brain in the morning, right? This doesn't have to take a long time. Okay. It can start with 30 minutes a day. It can start with 10 minutes. It could start, but as I go through what you need to put in place, it's going to need 30 to 60 minutes eventually. So this is something I did when my children were little. I have come to find out that the most successful people in the world do the same. And I've realized through my research that this is key. It is one of the biggest keys to success. And when I talk about you've got to master your mindset, you've got to master, if you're going to really succeed, you have to. Well, how do you do that, right? How do you do that? Priming your brain every single day. That is the key. Yes, pray first. That is the key. Prime your brain every single day. So I want to start with my first phase. My morning routine starts the night before. And before I get that, though, I want to mention some names of people who do this type of work, who prime their brain. And actually, I started doing this when I was in my 20s because Eleanor Roosevelt was one of my heroes, and she still is. And I read her biography and her autobiography and just books. I used to just really study her life because if you think about who Eleanor Roosevelt is, she was a really powerful woman when women weren't allowed to be powerful, right? So nowadays we have the freedom to be powerful. But when Eleanor Roosevelt was powerful, women weren't allowed to be powerful. Women were the woman behind the man, right? But as her husband got polio and became really sick, she really did emerge as a leader in her own right. And she was very well respected, and she was treated just like one of the men. And in her autobiography, she talks about how priming her day was essential for her. And she really goes into how it really just her morning routine. And it struck me as a young person then who was just starting my life, just wanted to be, something basically, about how if somebody as powerful as Eleanor Roosevelt, who faced so much more than what we face as women today, if that was important to her, then there must be something to it, right? So I started a healthy morning routine, and I actually used a lot of the principles that Eleanor Roosevelt taught about, like said that she did in her book. So then, as I grew older, it really evolved and it became my own thing, right? But even as I became a mother, as I had more children, I never relented. And sometimes I can't say never because there's phases in my life where my morning routine does taper off. But when it does, I start losing it. I am a mess. I can't keep my thoughts together. I'm stressed out. My depression level goes up. I just am chaotic. My son told me the other day that I'm one of the most self-disciplined people he's ever seen, and it blows his mind when he looks at his friends' parents and other people around him, bosses he's had and different things, my amount of self-discipline. And I can tell you that that has to do a lot with my morning routine, my mental health, my ability to really just persevere. And here's the thing, if you decide to go into any kind of leadership role, it's going to be hard. You are going to face adversity, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you choose this life for you, you are going to absolutely face adversity. But how we approach the adversity is the key. I've faced a lot, you guys. I mean, if you know, my husband died less than a year and a half ago. But why was I able to bounce back, right? I can tell you my morning routine was the key. It was the absolute key in getting me to bounce back. So people like Steve Jobs, of course, Eleanor Roosevelt, Tony Robbins. I mean, Tony Robbins is the guru, right? He is like the mindset guru. Let's see, some of the original gurus like Stephen Covey. Do I have the book up here? All of my great books are here. So the ones who started it all, this book here started it all. It's Think and Grow Rich, right? Napoleon Hill. They're actually making a movie out of it. This is the book that started the whole like mindset movement that we follow today. And all of the books that came after it started right here. Napoleon Hill, he had an amazing morning routine. But the Tony Robbins of today started with Napoleon Hill, and I guarantee you he read this book. So when you think about that concept of just really taking control, right, of your mornings, Brendan Burchard, I mean, all of these huge names, they all have a huge morning routine. My morning routine is 3 hours. I don't start my workday until 9 a.m. because I know the importance and the power of my morning routine. And I'm actually thinking about adding an hour. Actually thinking about starting to wake up an hour earlier so I have a 4 hour instead of 3. The most powerful people like Tony Robbins have like a 4 to 5 hour morning routine. That's how important it is, just priming your brain. And I'm not saying you need to be there, but as you grow in life and the more responsibility you take on, the more you're managing, you do need a longer morning routine, right? So right now, if you're just managing a childcare center, even 30 minutes is going to do. But for me at this point, I'm managing a lot. I manage a lot. So I need a lot more. I really need to make sure my brain is healthy and I need to check my thoughts. But my morning routine starts the night before. And I'll give you guys some tips too if you're a young mom, because many of you maybe. But my morning routine starts the night before. I set out everything I possibly can to make my morning go smoother and easier. So I do things like I get my dog's food bowls ready, right? And I have 4 dogs, for those of you who don't know, and it's a big part of my day are my dogs. And so I set their food bowls out. They eat twice a day. They're very regimented. And I fill them. I measure their food. Yes, I do have some crazy like structure. My son was, Mom, when I was telling him what I'm talking about today, he's like, well, you got to tell them about your structure, Mom, because you are so structured. So I put those out in the counter by their designated spots. So all I have to do is put them down in the morning, right? I prep my tea. I'm a big tea drinker. So I have my teapot all ready to go. I use loose leaf. I don't use tea bags. So it takes a little bit more to get it ready. So I get my teapot ready with my loose leaf tea. The water is ready. Everything is ready. So all I have to do is turn it on. I set my clothes out for the day. I get all of that ready. Like my clothes are set out. I know exactly what I'm going to wear. So I'm not chasing after my socks in the morning, I know down to my shoes. And some days, I mean, I will admit, some days I put the shoes on and when you look at it like, oh, that just doesn't quite go. These pants, those shoes, they don't work. So I might have to change it out. But for the most part, I'm ready. I know where my laptop bag is. I know where everything is. I know where my purse is. I know all those things. So then in the morning, I'm not going into that crazy morning frenzy. I remember when my children were little, I hated that morning frenzy and I wouldn't allow it. So even before my youngest even hit school, I had a pretty solid morning routine. One of the things I shared with my members last week was how I organized my children's clothes. I actually bought a system for their closets. It's those, like, you put them on their closet. Oh my gosh, what is it? The dowel rod that goes across, and they kind of wrap on there, and it opens up. They're like mesh, and it had 5 different compartments. And I literally labeled each compartment Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Sunday evenings, I let my kids pick their own clothes. I'm very big on allowing that no matter what it looks like, because that gives them independence and creativity, right? So I let them pick their morning clothes, and they would decide what they're wearing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Underwear, socks, all of it was right there. So now we're not chasing clothes in the morning. The night before they go to bed, they would put their shoes and their backpacks by the front door. So we're not chasing backpacks and shoes in the morning. I would plan out what they were eating for breakfast, right? And it would be ready to go. So that in the morning, you wake them up and it flows. You're just creating systems to make things flow, basically. So I still do that. Even though my children are grown and gone, I still try to make these hacks to save my time in the morning. And so that's basically what you want to do the night before, right? You're priming your day. So your morning routine is going to start the night before. Next thing, first thing I do when I wake up is I make sure that my brain is filled with something positive. So I have an Alexa that wakes me up, and my alarm clock, when I tell it to dismiss, it actually quotes a positive quote. And if you have an Alexa alarm, that's something you can set it up to do. It will actually, like, once you say, like, turn off the alarm, whatever, it automatically goes into your quote of the day. And it's a positive quote, something that gets your brain primed before I'm even out of bed. It primes my brain for something positive, right? So the next thing I do, and I think we have to be really discerning in this point, because sometimes I'll fall back to sleep if I'm not careful. So I actually set 2 alarms. The next thing I do is I lay in bed for a little bit and I just give myself time to think. Okay. Let me ask you, how many of you have your best thoughts in the shower? Let me know in the chat, whether you're watching the replay or you're on live. How many of you have your best thoughts and your best ideas come in the shower, or while you're driving, or when you're laying down trying to fall asleep, when your brain's going crazy? Hi, Kimberly. So most of us do, right? The reason that is because it's really the only time of day in our lifestyles that we allow our brains to just be still. It's the only time that we don't have outside noise coming into our brains. We constantly have other people almost thinking for us, right? And almost like, just because we have constant noise coming into our brains. So that's why before I even go to bed, I just think, or before I get out of bed in the morning, I take about 15 minutes to think. Yes, breathe. It's the quietest part of the day, but you need to lean into that quiet part of the day and intentionally use it. So I do start with prayer and thankfulness. So my first thing is that thankfulness. So you guys are talking about going down to sleep right now. So I'm going to give you a hack on that too. So when you guys go to sleep, remember, sleep is priming you for the next day. That is priming your morning. So you need to make sure you're getting at least 7 hours of sleep. Okay. I have my neurological disease is a sleep disorder. So I cannot even tell you how much I've learned about the importance of sleep, because I have a sleep disorder. But one of the things that is helpful to me when I'm falling asleep, and when you guys are talking about those thoughts that are just going crazy, have paper next to you when you go to sleep and do a brain dump. Before I go to sleep at night, I just jot. And you guys, it doesn't have to be like, I don't use a journal per se for this. It's just basically, I got to get these thoughts out of my head, right? Otherwise, I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. What is it about 3 a.m.? But otherwise, at 3 a.m., I'm waking up and my brain's going crazy, right? And when I don't do this, my brain goes crazy because I always have something stressful happening in my life. It's basically the life I've chose. When you manage as much as I do, when you own multiple companies, and you do the kind of things I do, there's always something. So doing a brain dump, basically just take your paper and write out whatever's concerning you. Those thoughts that are coming to your head, just write them down really quick. Get them out. You just got to get them out of your brain. So that way you can wake up and you can sleep through the night. You can fall asleep faster and you are more refreshed when you wake up. Now, in the morning, when I wake up, I don't allow those thoughts to come into my mind because it is natural. All of the, oh gosh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And all of those stressful thoughts start coming into our head, right? So, what I basically do when I wake up in the morning is I really focus on thankfulness. So I start my day by praying and thanking God for the amazing things. And if you've been watching me for a while, you know that when I brought myself out of the depression from losing my husband, this was the key. The key was coming up with 5 things to be thankful for every morning that were not the same, right? And it was like a 90-day challenge. Let me tell you, 60 days into coming up with something different every day, and you're like 5 each, you got to get really creative. You get really, really, really creative. Like I would wake up thinking, I am so glad I have a soft blanket that isn't just all wool and scratchy and itchy on my skin right now. Right. Or I'm glad I don't know. I have a nightstand right here next to me that I can put water on so I can reach and grab it. I mean, you really start reaching for things. But what happened was it really changed my whole mindset. Like now, even here as I sit, I look outside and I'm thankful for the tree in my backyard that provides shade and beauty for me to look at, right? So it really shifts your mindset. So now I don't do it as structured as I used to. But I always start my day thanking God for something. And the other thing I do is I intentionally think to myself the positive things that are going to happen today. And that's another big thing that you guys, a lot of times you miss out on too, is you think, oh gosh, today I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to. So instead, what I do is I think to myself, today I am going to go slay my bill paying. I am going to own it. I'm going to get it done and I'm going to do it great. Right. So I am still taking those things that I don't want to do. I don't want to do it. I have a ton of employee self-evaluations I have to go through. And my first thought was, I am going to get this done and I'm going to do a great job at it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Right. So I'm forcing those thoughts to be positive. And I'm thankful. I will a lot of times turn those into gratitude. Thank you, God, that I have employees. So now I have to go do these reviews because I was blessed to have amazing employees, right? So a lot of times, thank you, God, that I have the money to do my bill pay today. Thank you, God, that I have bills to pay because that means I have a rich life. So really frame those stressors and look at the positive. There's a positive in everything, in everything. I broke my foot a little over a week ago, right? And it has been really just killing me, my brain. But then I really had to really intentionally think of like, thank you, God, for giving me a foot, for allowing me to know the importance and reminding me how important it is to me to get out and hike every day and to run. Thank you for showing me how important these things are to my life. And breaking my foot has served as a huge reminder, right? So there's a way to turn everything into Thanksgiving. So that is like the first thing before I even get out of bed. Second thing, I only spend about 10 to 15 minutes doing this, but just in case I fall back to sleep, I do have a second alarm that will go off. So my first alarm will go off, and then 10 minutes later, my second alarm is going to go off just in case I fell back to sleep. So just a warning, it's happened to me several times. So I realized, okay, I got to start doing something about that. So that first few minutes of silence is huge for you, just to get your thoughts and just to really prime your brain. The next thing I do, I listen to frequency therapy, but I'm really not going to get too much into that for you guys. So I'll start my frequencies, but I'll go and spend some time with my dogs, get all my routines going. But the important thing that I do is I do listen to something positive. For me, I listen to a devotional. When my children were little, I read the Bible every morning. Every morning I would read a devotional, but I would also spend time in the Bible because a lot of times I think we as believers, we don't spend enough time reading God's word. And so that was a very important. Now, because of my neurological disease and a brain injury that I have a much, much harder time focusing on written word. So I listen, but I still have Audible and I listen to the same thing, a devotional and a few chapters in the Bible. And then I think about it. I give myself time, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, but I give myself time to soak it in and think about it. The next thing I do is I exercise every day. So I want to reframe that for you though, because the word exercise a lot of times puts us off and we automatically go into, oh God, I don't want to exercise. So I want you to think of movement. The next thing you want to do every morning is move your body. Move your body. And I do sometimes if I'm running a little bit later than I wanted to, if I like was meditating longer, which that first 10 minutes, that's meditation, you guys. That's all it is. When if I take longer and I need to just kind of time crunch a little bit, what I will do is listen to my devotional and all that while I move my body. Okay, I want to move my body. Did you know that walking is the only form of exercise that actually lowers stress? That if you aren't careful and you really have to watch your how you work out and what you're doing. Okay. And that's why I want you to think of body movement because like intense, like hit workouts and whatnot, they actually raise your cortisol in the moment and they can actually be really stressful. So where they're awesome and you need to take care of your body. I also want you to think about a way that you could be moving your body in a way that's also helping your mind. And all exercise helps your mind. It really does because you're the hormone balance, the extra oxygen, there's so much it does for you. But it doesn't have to be what you think. Just get moving. That's the main thing. Just move your body. And it also doesn't have to be all at once. But in the mornings, you do want to have some time where you're just flowing with movement. So whether it's doing like oh my gosh, what is it that I used to like? Tai Chi is an excellent flow movement. If you can get out and walk, walk. So good for you. So good for your brain. Even if it's on a treadmill and you maybe put like something on a screen that's pretty, but just move your body and work your way up. I've lost 160 pounds, you guys. I was 300 pounds once upon a time. I know how hard it is to start a workout routine. I know how painful, physically painful it can be to start working out when you're 300 pounds, because I've been there. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be 5 minutes. And it can be 5 minutes 3 or 4 times a day, right? If you do 5 minutes 4 times a day, you got 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be, but in the morning, you do want to move. Even if you just kind of dance, I mean, put some music on, dance, whatever, but move your body. So very important. When you work your way up to it, you do want to incorporate some kind of exercise routine. I actually do twice a day. I prime my brain in the morning. So I do go for a morning walk, walk and run. And I do a lot. I do 4.5 miles every morning. And then in the evening, I started doing my strength training. So, but in the morning when I'm priming my brain, I am listening to positive. I'll start my 4.5 miles by listening to a positive podcast or listening to a book that I'm reading or whatever. Well, and then I end the second half in quiet and I try and just digest what I've taken in. So, it's really important to get that morning routine down. And what I would like to challenge you guys is just start with 30 minutes a day. I know, Carmen, I know it's so hard. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm so glad, Carmen, you said that it's hard to wake up in the morning, but just start doing it and do the hard anyway. Do it anyway. Just really push yourself. One of the best books I read for this, I know I'm by my book, so I can show you. Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. He talks about how we need to make these commitments to ourselves, for ourselves. And when you do, you show up as a better mother, a better father, a better boss. I promise you. I promise you, you will be better for it if you give yourself the time. When you start getting up those 30 minutes earlier, it is It's going to be hard, but it gets easier. And I can guarantee you, if you just tell yourself 21 days and check it off a calendar every single day, 21 days, I am doing this for me. I'm doing this for my children. By the time you're done and you hit that 21 days and you get over that hump of the hard, that is when like you will see. I mean, even after the first week, you'll see the magic and your brain just starts to change. When I broke my foot, I stopped it totally threw my morning routine because I couldn't go out and exercise, right? Like my normal walk. And so I was so depressed for the first few days. I was so depressed. I couldn't think straight. I was becoming inefficient. I was becoming, honestly, a normal person, right? Who isn't productive and who isn't really like a high achiever like I normally am. So I realized quick, no, you got to get back into your morning routine. I don't care how you need to adapt, what you need to do, but you got to do something. So I've just found other means of being able to move my body in the morning. And it's it's crazy because we are so regimented. Last week I was teaching that only it's less than 5% of your thoughts are conscious thoughts, right? Think about that. 95% of your brain is subconscious thinking. So for me, well, and all of you actually, we go through the same exact thing every morning that we don't even realize we're doing. When you take a shower, you are probably doing the exact same order every day. You probably have a day of the week that you may shave, a day of the week that you may do whatever. But those days, it's the exact same thing. And we don't even realize it because our brain goes in automatic. That is subconscious thinking that's happening, right? And so when that's thrown off, it can really, really mess things up. So you have to make that conscious choice to make that change. And when you take control of your mornings and stop being reactive first thing of the day and start really controlling your thoughts in your day, it will be a huge game changer in your life. If you look at what you want to achieve overall in your life, this is the key. It is one of the, I mean, there's a lot of keys, but this is step one. Without it, you're not going to make it every day. This is why mindset falls apart because we're not starting our day with that morning routine that keeps us disciplined and focused. So what takeaways? I see some wows and some big takeaways, but it's huge, you guys. It is huge. And a few of my members, if you guys want, I would love, we can maybe start there's some new things in Facebook. We could probably start in the Facebook group that maybe we can hold each other accountable for our morning routines. And let's start small. For the first week, 10 minutes. That's it. Set your alarm 10 minutes earlier and just add that moment in the morning where you're thankful. Okay. Week 2, start adding a little bit more. Start adding listening to something positive. Week 3, let's do exercising, right? Or moving your body. I know we miss you, Shaylin. You got to come back to us. My goodness. So start moving your body, and again, don't think of exercise. Think about movement. Okay. Don't use the word exercise. I know for me, like just move and do something you love. There's always a movement that you might love. I am cardio. I know Christina is more weight training. Do what you love to do. Don't worry about what all the gurus say you have to do, right? Don't worry about it. Just get moving. Just get moving. That's it. I have to be out in nature. That is my thing. That's where I find my peace and that's where I revive. So that's why I go out into the desert every single morning because that's where I find my sanity. So even now with a broken foot, I found a way to get out there every morning and I feel like me again. Even if I can't do my full 4.5 miles and I can't do everything I do, at least I'm out there I just go out and throw the ball for the dog now. That's all I can do, but it still brings me joy. I'm still out there. I'm still moving. I'm still in nature. I'm still doing what I need to do for me. So I'm hoping that was helpful. Just a reminder for you guys who are not my members yet, today is the last day to sign up for our membership and get the buy one, get one free summit tickets. We welcomed so many of you last week. I'm so excited to work with the new faces that are coming to our group. You get to meet some amazing women like Carmen and Kimberly and Shaylin who are in here. So I hope you get a hold of your concierge today. For those of you who've been affected by Hurricane Ian, we'll figure out something too. I don't want to leave you guys out because of what happened. So we'll figure something out to help you guys also not miss out on all this stuff that we're doing. But today's your last day to get those buy one, get one free summit tickets if you become a member. So sign up. Yes, Shaylin is our client and she's telling you guys, sign up. Look, this is a client of ours. Not paid to say it, but look at that. Let's see. She says, well, you will regret it. But her first one said, no, why is it doing it that way? There we go. Sign up. See, from our clients, guys. So hopefully you guys get that chance to rewatch or watch for the first time before those videos go down. I hope everybody has a wonderful week.